Caribbean Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing, Inc.
Haiti's government has been fired. Our top story in Caribbean Newsline from Monday, March 18th. From the CMC News Center in Bridgetown, I'm Dawn Paris. Good evening. 6 months after Prime Minister Jean-Henri Sion was sworn into office, he and his government have been fired. This after the lower chamber of deputies on Monday voted overwhelmingly to remove the administration from office. The move came as the Prime Minister went to the Senate for a meeting, only to find 13 members present, citing the recent arrest of 5 armed Americans last month and their subsequent release with the help of the State Department. The Senate had summoned both Sion and his Justice Minister to its chambers. The Senate President tweeted that due to the lack of a quorum, the Prime Minister's session was rescheduled for Wednesday. But in the lower chamber of deputies, where 104 deputies were present, they voted by a wide margin to censure the Prime Minister. The agenda of the session was adopted by 88 deputies, 12 were against, and there were 4 abstentions. In the motion to remove the government, 93 lawmakers voted in favor, 6 against, and 3 abstained. A letter is to be sent to President Jovenel Moïse regarding the appointment of a new Prime Minister. After being ousted, Sion told the Miami Herald newspaper that the move was illegal, was outside of the Constitution, and was unacceptable. He and his 21-member cabinet will remain in office as caretakers until a new Prime Minister is named by President Moïse and a new government takes control after both chambers of Parliament approve. Under Haitian law, a caretaker Prime Minister and government can only oversee the country's day-to-day affairs and cannot enter any new contracts. The St. Lucia government is sticking by its position that unless there is a fundamental change to the operating structure of regional airline LIAT, it will not be investing financially in the airline. Prime Minister Alain Chastanet says if St. Lucia is going to buy shares, it would have to be in an entity that it knows is free to make whatever commercial decisions are necessary. He added that St. Lucia does not mind being a shareholder, but he does not believe governments themselves should be involved in the day-to-day operations of the airline. Last week, an emergency meeting was held in Barbados as shareholder governments sought to get Caribbean countries to contribute a total of $5.4 million in emergency funding to keep the airline in the sky. Chastanet, who has long been a critic of the operations of the airline, said that although he knows LIAT is facing difficult times and has been so for a long time, St. Lucia's position remains clear. Chastanet referenced a Caribbean Development Bank study last year that outlined 3 options for LIAT: shut down the entity, privatize it, or restructure. And he remains skeptical of the restructuring route because it has been attempted many times, and he says that unless there is going to be fundamental change, it won't produce different results. Prime Minister Chastanet says he believes it's time for competition. He says, quote, "I think LIAT has been given a free rein in this region for a long enough time, so we can dismiss the idea that its losses are blamable solely on competition. I think it's time to reintroduce competition into the market." End quote. A former member of the People's Revolutionary Government in Grenada has lost his fight to practice law in the Caribbean island. The London-based Privy Council on Monday dismissed the appeal filed by Joseph Ewart Lane against an Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court of Appeal decision that upheld a High Court ruling that he not be admitted to the bar. By a split decision, the 5-member panel of judges said that although Lane is now a man of good standing in the community, which is a requirement for admission to the bar, that was not enough. The Privy Council, which is Grenada's final court, said public confidence in the profession also had to be considered, and there was sufficient risk that it would be damaged if Lane's application was granted. Lane was one of 17 people involved in the 1979 coup in which 10 people, including then Prime Minister Maurice Bishop and other members of his cabinet, were executed by the People's Revolutionary Army, of which Lane was the operational commander. Lane obtained an LLB and LLM from London University while in prison and was awarded the Legal Education Certificate of Merit from the Hugh Wooding Law School of the University of the West Indies in 2013, 4 years after his release. But when his application for admission to the bar went before the High Court, the judge ruled that an applicant with his background had to make an extraordinary showing of rehabilitation and present good moral character, and refused Lane's request. The Court of Appeal subsequently upheld that decision. Guyana's Chief Magistrate Anne McLennan has thrown out private criminal charges filed against the chairman of the Guyana Elections Commission, GCOM, and the 3 government-nominated commissioners. She says the charges alleging that they had breached the Constitution were frivolous, a waste of the court's time, and an abuse of the court. The charges had been filed by local engineer Marcel Gaskin, who claimed that the GCOM chairman and the 3 commissioners conspired not to hold elections within 90 days following the passage of the no-confidence motion against the coalition government on December 21st last year. Only the GCOM chairman and Commissioner Desmond Trotman appeared in court when the matter came up for hearing, and the chief magistrate did not even bother to read out the charges. After hearing from both sides, she said the matters could not stand in court and therefore threw out the charges. In Jamaica, a government legislator who last year piloted a motion in Parliament seeking to have abortion made legal has been caught off guard by a new opinion poll showing that most Jamaicans are strongly opposed to abortion. Parliamentary Representative for West Rural St. Andrew, Juliet Cuthbert-Flynn, said she is a bit surprised that in 2019, people still feel that women should not have the right to choose termination. The latest RJR Gleaner Dawn Anderson poll conducted earlier this year found that 75% of the 1,000 people questioned did not support legalization of abortion. The details of the poll findings in this TVJ News report.
Joint Select Committee of Parliament recently began hearing submissions on an old topic: should abortion be legalized? This after Member of Parliament for St. Andrew West Central, Juliet Cuthbert-Flynn, brought a private member's motion before the House calling on the government to repeal the legislation that makes abortion illegal. She wants Section 72 and 73 of the Offences Against the Person Act to be repealed and substituted with a civil law, the Termination of Pregnancy Act, as was recommended by the Abortion Policy Review Group in 2007. The religious community has been clear on its position that abortion laws should remain in place. Some civil society groups, however, feel that a woman should have the right to choose. In the RGR Gleaner Group Dawn Anderson poll, most of the persons interviewed did not agree that abortion should be legalized.
25% of the 1,000 persons we interviewed felt yes, it should be. 75%, they're very definitive, said no, under no circumstances.
As for the circumstances under which the people believed that abortion should be legal,
Next issue was, of the 25% that said it should be legalized, we asked them under what conditions, all right? And the data is as follows. 44% said if there was a rape or there was an incestuous situation, that's fine, okay? 24% said on medical grounds, if the person was, either in danger or there was a good enough other medical reason, that should be okay. 22% said under any circumstance, no matter what, an abortion should be legalized.
the RJR Gleaner Group Dawn Anderson poll was conducted between February 15 and March 3. 1,000 people were interviewed from all 14 parishes. The poll has a margin of error of plus or minus 3%.
Coming up in Caribbean Newsline, Trinidad and Tobago gets money to help Venezuelans who fled to the Twin Island Republic. We'll be right back.
shell it like we never did before. And this party we party.
Don't jump up to this non-stop turn and twist.
What up, it's your boy French Montana.
It's me, Smokey Robinson.
It's your boy David Doe.
Hi, I'm Elme.
This is Buju Banton, and I'll be performing live with the Shiloh Band in St. Kitts Music Festival.
Don't miss the 23rd Annual St. Kitts Music Festival, June 26th to June 30th, 2019. Featuring Buju Banton, Smokey Robinson, Popcorn, and Elme. Also, Davido, French Montana, Fimba, Edwin Yearwood and Crossfire, Coco T, Skinny Fabulous, Shal Marshall, Charlie Black, Farmer Nappy, Nadia Batson, Infamous, New Vibes Band, and many, many more. It will be epic. It will be mind-blowing. It will be jaw-dropping. It will be awesome. The St. Kitts Music Festival, an experience like no other. For more information and to buy tickets, log on to www.stkittsmusicfestival.com.
Welcome back. The United States Agency for International Development, USAID, has given Trinidad and Tobago $1.6 million to assist Venezuelans who have fled hardship in their homeland. Representatives from USAID, the Trinidad and Tobago government, the U.S. Embassy, Trinidadian and Venezuelan civil society met in Port of Spain last week to determine how the U.S. would help the Twin Island Republic manage the impacts of the political and humanitarian crisis in Venezuela. And it was decided that programs using the $1.6 million will begin by September. They will focus on strengthening community resilience and capacity to address the influx of Venezuelan refugees and migrants. A 17-year-old Trinidadian has been making headlines in the United States after being accepted into 17 universities. Dylan Chiddick managed to excel academically even as he and his family were in and out of homelessness, as we hear in this report from CNC3's Jesse Ramdale.
Never imagined this would be his problem, having to pick from more than a dozen university acceptance letters. At an early age, the 17-year-old knew that education was key to his family enjoying a better life.
Started from young, I've always been dedicated and wanted to achieve greater things.
He left Point Fortin at that tender age with his mother and brothers, all with the hopes of a brighter future. But those hopes soon faded as mounting medical bills resulting from his twin brother's medical conditions forced the family in and out of homelessness.
There were a lot of people that had disability issues and were sick at the time. So it was kind of scary, and it was hard getting used to all the rules that they had at the place. So we were just immersed in a culture that was so different from the one that we were used to.
Chiddick, however, would not allow the mountainous obstacles to end his dreams of a better life for his family.
When we lived in the shelter, I took advanced schooling. So I took advanced gym and health so that the next year I will have free periods, so that my senior year, which is now, I will be able to leave school early, go to school from 8:30 to 12:30. Then from 1 to 7, I will work at the recreation center with Jersey City, and I worked at the pool as a locker room attendant. So I'll basically clean up after people, make sure the locker room was nice, make sure the pool was clean. And then after that, I will go home and do my homework.
The New Jersey high school senior's resilience in the face of adversity eventually paid off as he was accepted by 17 universities. And although he is unsure which one he'll choose just yet, he knows exactly what he's going to do.
I'll be pursuing political science. So basically, I'll learn about how the government works, how laws are made, public policy. And then I will minor in history because I really like history and learning about past events. When I graduate undergrad, I plan to go to law school and become a lawyer.
What an inspiring story. Well, it's time now for Newsline Health, and this week we hear that Grenada is getting help to develop its breastfeeding program, while Guyana prepares to launch a new health plan. There's also growing support to reduce cases of childhood obesity. Here's Marie-Claire Williams.
Grenada is getting help from the Pan American Health Organization to further develop its breastfeeding program. PAHO has been working with the doctors and nurses at the island's main hospital to help mothers provide nutrition to their infants in the early stages of life. Dr. Audrey Morris is PAHO's regional advisor for food and nutrition.
We want to make sure that all mothers know the importance of breastfeeding, why they need to be able to breastfeed on demand, which means knowing the cues, we refer to them as the cues, when baby is hungry and needs to be fed, and how to feed the baby. So different things like that, positioning the baby and attaching the baby to the breast in a way that will support breastfeeding. So those are some of the things that the hospital is working on.
Guyana's Ministry of Health is preparing to roll out a new national health strategic plan to focus on sexually transmitted diseases. The new Green Health Plan will run from 2020 to 2040 and comes amid concerns that cases of HIV are on the increase in Georgetown.
Right now we screen all blood donors, for example, because most of the sexually transmitted diseases also, unfortunately, can be transmitted by blood if it's not properly screened and administered safely to the recipient. So we are in the process of ensuring that not only for blood donors are tested, but other persons within society who have a high risk for hepatitis, and that we address them. We are focusing a little bit on the key populations.
The campaign continues against increasing cases of childhood obesity in the Caribbean. A recent opinion poll by Cadres showed that 2 out of 3 Barbadians are concerned about childhood obesity. The majority is in favor of setting nutritional standards at schools and restricting the sale and advertising of unhealthy foods and beverages. Marie-Claire Williams, Newsline Health.
Ahead in sports, Cricket West Indies could have to pay out more than $250,000 to former head coach Phil Simmons. We'll tell you why after the break. Stay with us.
Even Democrats who, tend to, be a little more sympathetic to socialist governments abroad, they cannot believe this, and I can't either. I mean, I hope this finishes him once and for all, because I'm kind of tired, of
Buck of Bernie?
I mean, what's interesting though is he's going to have, it's funny because he thinks he's going to have an easier time of it this time, and he actually said something that was very honest, but I'm surprised he said it out loud.
Coming up, you and your crew will not be left behind at Cropper the Barbados. There's fame, fashion and leisure life in Anguilla. It's all next on Caribbean Passport on this station.
So I'm adding a little bit of salt, some basic Caribbean green seasoning. This is a really simple Caribbean seasoning blend. The pimento or seasoning peppers, hot peppers. To the pot now, I'm adding some curry powder, some turmeric, some roasted ground jeera, and some black amchar masala. And once it's ready, it'll look very grainy and dry, and you'll see the oil separating. So now is a good time to add your seasoned chicken in.
Cricket West Indies could have to pay out more than $250,000 to former head coach Phil Simmons for wrongful dismissal. ESPN's Quick Info has reported that CWI has been forced to admit liability and could be paying up to $300,000 and an additional $100,000 or more for legal fees to the Trinidadian, who is now the head coach of the Afghanistan team. Simmons' rocky tenure as head coach of the West Indies team came to a premature end in September 2016 after a public outburst in which he questioned the makeup of the one-day international squad. He was earlier suspended for the comment and was reinstated not too long after he accepted the reprimand and gave a public apology. The Quick Info article says a court date is set for March 26 in Antigua, where a final sum is to be agreed on. And that's just 2 days after Cricket West Indies holds its elections, in which President Dave Cameron is seeking a 4th consecutive term. Simmons Cameron will be challenged by former St. Kitts Government Minister and current CWI board member Ricky Skerritt. Meantime, former legendary West Indies captain Sir Vivian Richards has endorsed Skerritt and his running mate Dr. Kishore Shallow in their bids to become Cricket West Indies' new president and vice president. In a press statement, Sir Viv, who is widely regarded as one of the West Indies' best captains and batsmen, threw his full support behind the duo. He said, quote, "This is an excellent opportunity for me to have an input as a past West Indies captain and also from the representation that Leewards would have given to West Indies cricket. If we are now going to make a choice for a new president, I also believe we have people in that particular department in Mr. Ricky Skerritt who could bring some respectability back to the particular position. I honestly believe the time is right now for someone like Mr. Skerritt, who I think is well respected in that particular fraternity, to help make a difference in the future." End quote. Sir Viv said it was important for past West Indies players to speak up, especially on pertinent issues such as elections. While Skerritt said he was honored to have someone of Sir Viv's ilk support his presidential bid. Still with cricket, West Indies' sterling performance against England has seen them draw level with 8th-ranked Sri Lanka on points 10 weeks before they kick off their campaign at the ICC 50 Overs World Cup. In the latest rankings released on Sunday, West Indies remained 9th but gained 4 points to draw level with the Sri Lankans on 76. Their gain was the best in the tables and followed a 2-2 draw in the recent 5-match one-day series against world number 1 England. England, meanwhile, remained top of the standings on 123, but lost 3 ratings points. Second-placed India failed to capitalize, however, as they dropped 2 points to slip to 120. New Zealand are third and only marginally ahead of South Africa, while Australia moved into 5th spot. Pakistan dropped to 3rd, and Bangladesh remained 7th. Barbados captain Hayley Matthews produced a masterful bowling display in the opening round of the Women's Regional Super 50 Championships to help her side crush the Leeward Islands by 7 wickets. Matthews grabbed 7 wickets for just 27 runs as the Leewards were bundled out for just 88 runs. Barbados then romped to 89 for 3 in 12 overs, with Deandra Dottin smashing an unbeaten 34 from 12 balls. Barbados wasted little time in chasing down the total, with Matthews also contributing with the bat in a brisk knock of 23. Meanwhile, Trinidad and Tobago produced a strong batting effort to reach 221 for 7 in their 50 overs, thanks mainly to an unbeaten half-century from Renice Boyce. She finished on 65 not out and got good support from Samantha Bissoon, who was unbeaten on 35, and Stacey Ann King, who made 28. At one stage, Guyana was crushing at 72 for 1 before suffering a dramatic middle-order collapse, which eventually saw them being all out for 152. In the final game, Jamaica posted the day's highest total of 236 for 8 from their 50 overs. Chanel Henry led the way, scoring 54. Natasha McLean added 40, while Stephanie Taylor and Jodian Morgan each made 31. And while the Windwards did well to recover from 69 for 8, they were never in a position to pose a serious threat to their victory target. Switching sports now, Guyana's senior men's rugby will have their work cut out for them in order to be ready for upcoming major tournaments this season. In this report from Newsroom's Akeem Green, head coach Sherlock Solomon says he will be ramping up efforts to ensure the team is up to standard.
Getting to the respectable standard of fitness for international duties may not be that hard task for the management, with Coach Solomon reasonably impressed with some levels after a relatively lengthy period of inactivity for local rugby.
Above average, actually. We still got some time. What we started to do from this month, March, we preparing for this 7 side down in July. We run 7 in Panama. So the guys, the special squad of 34 we identified out of the regular bunch, and they're trying to maintain the fitness, keep a check, a monthly check going forward. And we started this week. So far, out of a total of 35 guys, I think I was only able to get about 20-25 because a couple of guys overseas. Next week, we'll complete that rest number. But the numbers I've been getting so far, it's just about average. So I guess we still got a lot of more work to do.
Solomon's main portfolio is that for the 7th team, who have the Pan Am Games in Peru and the Iran Championships. Given the fast-paced nature and the lapses for the country in 2018, the coach wants the 7th team to push over and beyond average fitness.
Well, there's a couple of guys you know that can give a good score, but the average, the numbers I got so far, we got a lot of work to do. So the 7th fitness. The total fitness level I'm looking for is 7 from the 15th actually.
Guyana is slated to host debutants Guadeloupe on April 27 in the Rand South Zone 15s, with the winner playing Bermuda for the overall championship honors, as well as the right to play the losers of Mexico and Cayman Islands in the latter half of the year for promotion into the America's Challenge Championship. Now, should Guyana defeat Guadeloupe, they will host the North Zone winners, Bermuda, who had defeated Jamaica 43-14 at home in May. It means that players will be split between 2 training regimes, and Solomon wants the players to be geared for what is to be a tough season.
That is the situation we found ourselves in the Guyana Rugby. They got 15s got to be played against Guadeloupe and Bermuda sometime in the next couple of weeks, and we still got the 7th side to be playing. But what I'm trying to do is just get some early numbers and identify some players early and let them know the next 2-3 months is a lot of rugby they got to play.
And that's the sport. We'll be right back.
Caribbean Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc.
Don't jump up to this non-stop turn and twist.
What up? It's your boy French Montana.
It's me, Smokey Robinson.
It's your boy David Doe.
Hi, I'm Elme.
This is Buju Banton, and I'll be performing live with the Shiloh Band in St. Kitts Music Festival.
Don't miss the 23rd Annual St. Kitts Music Festival, June 26th to June 30th, 2019. Featuring Buju Banton, Smokey Robinson, Popcorn, and LMA. Also, Davido, French Montana, Fimba, Edwin Yearwood and Crossfire, Coco T, Skinny Fabulous, Charles Marshall, Charlie Black, Farmer Nappy, Nadia Batson, Infamous, New Vibes Band, and many, many more. It will be epic. It will be mind-blowing. It will be jaw-dropping. It will be awesome. The St. Kitts Music Festival, an experience like no other. For more information and to buy tickets, log on to www.stkittsmusicfestival.com.
Again, the major developments of this day: Haiti's lower chamber of deputies votes to remove the Prime Minister and his cabinet from office. And in sport, cricket, West Indies could have to pay out more than $250,000 to former Windies head coach Phil Simmons for wrongful dismissal. And that's Caribbean Newsline. For news and sport around the clock, subscribe to CanadaNews.com. For more of our programming, log on to caribvision.tv and check out our YouTube channel. We'll be back here again tomorrow, but from all of us at CMC News, thank you for watching and have yourselves a good night.